Hey there, my name is Danny Leibrandt, and welcome back to Pest Control Success Stories. Today, I'm joined by Steve Delaney, the founder and owner of Yard Boss, based out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Steve started Yard Boss back in 2008 while he was still in college, and over the years, he's grown it into one of the leading lawn care and pest control companies in the region, doing $1.4 million a year and quickly growing, running multiple full-time crews and serving mainly residential clients. What's unique about Steve's story is how he's blended lawn care, pest control, and Christmas lights under one powerful local brand, Yard Boss, while keeping a strong reputation for professionalism, community focus, and customer care. From starting with a single mower to managing a growing team and navigating real challenges, Steve's journey is a great example of grit, local entrepreneurship, and smart service diversification in the home services space. Now, without further ado, Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great introduction.
Yeah, of course, man. So walk me back to the beginning of Yard Boss, maybe even what was going on before that. How did you get started in college?
Yeah, so I actually was mowing in high school, and during college, I actually originally went to college for architectural engineering and did not like that, so I transferred to another community college where I got a degree in landscaping and turf management. And so I always kept the mowing thing alive during college and came home every weekend to do it. And we just made enough money during that time. Like we did $40,000 in revenue in 2008. And I'm like, I feel like the government needs to know about this before I get in trouble. And
Yeah.
so that's when we officially started the business is what I call the official start date was 2008 when we told the government and it was no longer this side hustle thing that we were doing. And so yeah, we started in 2008 while I was in college, and over the over the next year while I was finishing up college, I worked every night, every weekend to keep things going and rolling. Then did my intern. As soon as my intern was done, I left and went full time doing landscaping and mowing. And then down the road, the business evolved where we got rid of landscaping, mowing, and built the fertilizer business up to what it is today. And then added pest control a couple years ago.
Cool. So when you were first growing the business, what were some of the biggest drivers of growth? How were you getting those initial customers?
It was literally just like word of mouth. And I mean, in 2008, the newspaper was still relevant. And in the small town that I grew up in, we would still run newspaper ads and Craigslist ads and things like that. I didn't know much about Facebook. We dabbled in like Facebook here and there, but I really didn't realize what tool Facebook would be at that point. And then, of course, you get about to probably 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, and it's like clear that Facebook is the way to go. And then, you sort of stumble around and try to figure that stuff out as you go.
Okay. So it's mainly word of mouth to start, kind of transition into Facebook. But what were you doing on Facebook?
We were just boosting posts, just like telling people that we were installing this patio. And then we might put like, I don't know, 25, 30, $50 behind it, in the beginning days. And because I had no idea what I was doing. I'm just like, let's try it, see what happens.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that was working pretty well. So you were posting on your personal profile or your company profile?
Or personal profile in the beginning. And then, of course, I don't even remember when it was because in the beginning they didn't have business profiles for a while. And then you got your business profile and invite all your friends to like it, and then you just keep posting. It's actually interesting to scroll all the way back every once in a while, take a trip down memory lane to see what you posted and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you're starting to get into Facebook. Was there like across your journey, because now you've had the company for about 17 years,
Yeah.
were there any, I guess, like big realizations or anything that's like made you substantially grow through kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, really throughout your journey? Was there any key pivot points?
Yeah, there was actually a really key pivot point at the end of 2019. We had just finally bought a CRM, and I run into a local competitor who's now a great friend of mine, guy that owns Summit Lawns. And he's like, dude, you need software. Da, 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 da. We had a conversation about that at an Indian shop. Anyway, I ended up at a conference in Dallas, and then ended up in a mastermind group. And it's like, holy cow, like here are all the answers that I've needed. There are people out there with the knowledge. There are people out there with the training, the software, like literally everything you need to grow a business. And that was a huge pivot point that like it was a mindset shift, really, is what it came down to over the next probably 4 to 6 months. It was a mindset shift. You got to remember, I grew up in a town of 8,000. Like, if you were running $1 million business, you're probably the richest guy in the town. Uh,
Yeah.
and so it was like a huge mindset shift. And you go into these rooms with these guys with 10,000 clients and multiple locations and things like that. And you're like, wow, you like, this can be done. That isn't like some one-off lucky guy over there that inherited grandpa's business that's been around for 70 years. Like, you can build these things pretty quickly if you know what you're doing and you're willing to ask and pay the right people for the answers.
Got it. Okay, so a big part of it was mindset. And then was
Yeah.
there any like specific key takeaways from going to a mastermind or masterminds like that?
No, it's just a bunch of little stuff here and there.
Mm.
One of the big things we did is we had to push on the bigger city that was closest to us. Like, we were not going to hit any of our goals just staying, on these smaller towns that I grew up in. So we went to the bigger city in a big way and started to uh, get traction there. I mean, there's neighborhoods the size of the town that I grew up in.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask more about that. So you grew up in a small town. Seems like you kind of maxed out that area. So
Oh,
for people listening, when do they know that it's the right time to expand? When do you get out of your small town? When should they?
before you start. Like, if I could,
Really?
if I could go back knowing what I know now, that would have been like this ancillary market that we like went to, and it wouldn't have been our main market for so long. It's probably the biggest error I made. So after college, I lived in Lincoln for a couple years. And then a roommate situation dissolved because guys were going to grad school and stuff like that. And I moved back to Crete, to that small town, because business was getting better traction there, because word of mouth is really powerful, and we were getting traction there. And then we just like maxed that out in a couple years. And I honestly did not realize that we had it maxed out, because and when your market size is so limited, you have to do so many things. Like, we had to landscape and mow and patios and retaining walls. And not only that, then we had to do business the way Mr. Jones wanted to do business. And we had to do business the way
Mm.
Mr. Smith wanted to do business, not the way that Steve wanted to do business. And
Mhm.
so just because you meted that many clients, and there wasn't another client around the corner.
Yeah.
And quite
Yeah.
frankly, they didn't have options either, because you're the only guy in these towns. So
Okay, so your small town was like 8,000. So what is like a good sized city? What was the size of the bigger one you went to?
Lincoln is about 350,000. And I would
Okay.
say that that's like a big city. I mean, we can see on the horizons, probably in the next 4 or 5 years, that we're going to have to do second location to meet our growth goals.
Mm.
Probably going to Omaha within the next 3 years.
Okay, cool. Now, I think I don't know, some people might detest that, I guess. Like, well, if you go into those bigger cities, there's going to be more competition, right? So how do you fight against that competition?
Here's a better company.
Mm.
At the end of the day, like, the simplest way to beat half of your competition is literally answer the phone.
Mm.
Um, there are so many people. Interesting story. Literally last week, we busted a gate, getting a machine through during aeration, and I go out there and I'm going to try to fix the gate. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm just going to call somebody. I'm not joking. I called 8 fencing companies on Google. 2 of them answered live. And 2 of them sent me a text message saying, hey, responding to my voicemail saying, hey, can you send me a picture of the gate and the hinge that you're dealing with? And
Wow.
it didn't matter on cost. The one that answered was a big nationally known company. And it's like, wow, there's some low hanging fruit in building fences if these guys aren't even answering their phones live.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I mean, that's a huge part of it. I've noticed that too. Like, literally just pick up the phone. If it's not you, maybe you're too busy and crawl spaces or whatever. Well, then you
Yeah.
have to find someone else that will pick up the phones for you, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of options out there. There's VAs, there's these answering services, and some of these answering services like know the software and the industry is inside and out. You just got to find those specific companies that you can, like, a 4 hour onboarding call, and they can be running pretty dang good.
Hmm. So you have now that you guys have grown to a pretty big level, you guys have a full-time office manager now, right?
Yes, yeah, we've had one for probably I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and we're going to add somebody else into the office too. It's at capacity. Good, back to the same thing. We're letting too many calls go to voicemail because we're on the other line.
Mm. For other companies, maybe people are just getting started out or whatever. When is the right time to hire an office manager? Hey guys, real quick, if you are a pest control owner looking to grow, I want to give you two amazing resources. Now, number one is our free Facebook group, where we have over 900 members in there, and me, along with my other two co-owners, Jonas Olson and Jake Sheldon, are posting in there regularly. And the group is super active. People are introducing themselves. They're asking questions. So if you want to connect, you want to network, you want to learn from other people that maybe are similar to you or even farther along the path than you, that would be a great group to check out. So just search up Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook. And then the second resource is our new book, Zip Code Kings. We released a book just a little bit ago, and we've sold over 200 copies already. People are absolutely loving it. And we talk about everything related to pest control marketing. So if you are looking to grow your company, if you want to learn about new lead generation mechanisms and how we have personally grown pest control companies ourselves, then this is the book for you. So you can go ahead and search up Zip Code Kings on Amazon, and that group is Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook. So hope to see you guys in the Facebook group. Yeah, back to the show.
As soon as you can.
Mm.
I mean, we did at probably 700,000 or 800,000 in revenue. And the interesting thing is like with any of these positions, you're like, I don't think that I've got enough work to justify this payroll. And if you actually sat down and thought about it, how much stuff is not getting done and you're just getting by on the bare minimum, and you could have them pick that stuff up, or you can do it because your capacity is now freed up. That's an interesting take that we have. I mentioned that we've hired a field manager recently, and he's only 6 weeks into it. We're doing a slow rollout on it. It's a technician we're moving up, but he still hasn't taken anything off my plate, but he's doing his job because he's doing all the things that we're like, these can wait. They're not as important. They're not the biggest fire to be put out, but they're still important. So he's just started with those before he's probably another 3 months before he's going to be taking things 100% off my plate.
Okay, so really as soon as possible, because
Yeah.
the price or their salary actually is justified, because all that money that you're losing on missed calls or maybe upsells or whatever else, it actually completely justifies it, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And just the customer service aspect. I mean, at the end of the day, I think all of these home service businesses, whether you're HVAC or plumbing, and really any business, right? You're really in the customer service business. Like if your customers aren't happy and you're not servicing them the way they want to be serviced and answering their questions and solving their problems, then you're not really any good to them. Like you can be the best pest control guy in the world, but if you can't invoice somebody properly or schedule them properly, like the customer is going to get mad. They're going to find somebody else who can do that. So it just heightens your level of customer service by having those folks in there.
Yeah, got it. One point that I definitely want to touch on here was that you said that you've grown over really 27% in sales this year, 20% more than last year. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
How did you do that?
Horrible. I wish I knew like every little thing, that we had this like $1 million ad that just like worked really, really good, or this, massive account, but it's not that. I mean, we're in residential, so we're volume, right? We brought on something like 350 or 400 new clients this year. And it's just like everything that we launch is working better this year. So whether it's an upsell campaign or an email or a trying to reactivate leads that never closed or anything like that, is just all working much better this year. Due to some education and the Pest Control Millionaire, and learn how to write those things. And then also I think it's we're finally starting to get traction. At kind of a piece of our story that we didn't hit on is, I started the business as Steve Delaney in landscaping, and we mowed and landscaped and fertilized and built patios and did sprinklers, and like, if it's outside the home, we're your guy. Like we were that company. Like we built decks at some point. We did fences at some points. We just were the guy for everything. And that was miserable, like absolutely miserable. And so in 2020, we rebranded into Yard Boss and then started dumping services and building the fertilizer up. So when the fertilizer division was under $100,000 when we made that decision in 2020. And then we have expedited it up to today where we're going to finish 1.4, 1.5 million this year is where we'll end up this year. And I think some of it is just like doing the right thing for long enough, and then you throw the gas that we'll call marketing, on the fire that you can just like explode it. Then so you're marketing to somebody, but they're asking their neighbor like, is this a good company? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So you've got their attention, and then you've got them a neighbor backing you up saying that you're a great company and easy to work with.
Hmm. Okay, cool. All right, so you rebranded like 5 years ago, and you guys were
Yeah.
doing, I mean, what services were you doing? Everything?
Everything. Like our main services was sprinkler install, sprinkler service, landscaping, and landscaping is broad. We do everything from install an outdoor kitchen to a simple retaining wall or simple bed planning or pruning. And then we had a couple mowing crews. And we had gotten in and out of Christmas lights one other time back in the day, but we had screwed it all up. Like I screwed the business model up terribly back then. And yeah, so we were doing it all. Snow removal, we were big in snow removal. We were doing probably 40 acres of parking lots, probably 10 miles of sidewalks. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
So for other people, what would you recommend? Like just picking a few services, or what would you do if you started over?
Yes, and services that are similar.
Mm.
Like it's interesting how good you can get when you're only focusing on one thing or two things. Like we added pest control in a few years ago, and our intention with the Christmas lights was going to solve our winter problem, because nobody likes to be called up at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning to go plow snow or Saturday night. So the Christmas lights have kind of been our answer to backing off on snow. We still do a tiny bit. We have about 15 very small, think, like a McDonald's size business that we take care of. And we do 14, 15 of those accounts with 6 guys. Like it's a 2 to 4 hour ordeal, some of these guys are out for 16, 18 hours on snow.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's insane. So you added pest control 5 years ago or so. How's that been going, and why did you do that?
We did that because there was a huge opportunity with the mosquito, flea, tick, chigger. And so ours is basically an exterior spray, general pest control only. And it kind of comes back to that, stick to what you know and what you're really good at. And so we do the exterior. We're not doing termites. We're not doing bed bugs. We're not doing like that, gets a little bit further away from being good at it. At the end of the day, and even the way we spray the yards, like some of these pest control people think that we're crazy the way we do our flea, tick, and mosquito, because we spray the entire lawn and landscaping like with a chem gun on a hose, like you would, if you were treating for weeds or what have you. And because we adopted it so similar to what we were doing, and I truly believe that like when we don't have to train somebody one direction or another. Now I see somewhere down the road of us getting really more lined up with what a traditional pest control guy is, where he's got, his little Ford Maverick and a whole host of products and different things like that where they can go in it. But this has worked really well for us, and our customers are ecstatic about it because we keep all of the things out of their home.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it's been working well, and it kind of just
Yeah.
seemed like a natural pivot, or
Yeah.
not even a pivot, but just an add-on, because
Yes. It's such an
it was
easy
just very
add-on.
similar.
Yeah, and the licensing for it is very similar. So our guys had to just go get an additional category to be able to do that in addition to the lawn category. So it was a very easy. And once you've got one license and you've been through the process and understand the basics of handling chemicals and, don't drink this stuff, and how to find the rates and all that sort of stuff, they usually blaze through their pest control test pretty easily.
Yeah. Also, I'm sure you upsold most of your, or I don't know, a good amount of your lawn care
Yeah.
people. So that's a lot of additional
Yeah,
revenue,
so then
right?
you got a client base to be like, hey, we're offering something new, and you can, fire out an email, text message upsell, and overnight, you've got half a route.
Mm. So if you were to do that again, of like, let's say you were just lawn and now you're adding pest control right now, how would you make sure that you get as many people from lawn to add on pest?
It would be like, and that's an interesting question to ask because I don't think we rolled it out as good as we could have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you were to do it again,
Yeah,
what would be the
if I
best way?
could do it again, it would be like a multiple approach. So we would probably leave a door hanger after every stop, because we have to leave a door hanger already saying we did visit one and here's what it is watered in. We'd leave an additional door hanger explaining past with pricing on there that the technician could fill out when they were there. And then we would go into email text message marketing through like Go High Level, and we would do a multi point campaign over probably 60 days where we're making some sort of communication with them in about once a week, once every 10 days, explaining a different scenario or question. Think of like Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask You Answer. So what are the questions that they're going to answer preemptively? Or what are the questions they're going to ask? Preemptively answer all those in your email text message campaigns. And we would go about that, and then we would do a bunch of Facebook, Google, and we'd be doing the same thing in the Facebook videos. We'd be answering those questions and how does it work and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, cool. Love that. And that also kind of ties into the next thing I want to cover, which is you guys have been crushing it on upsells recently, and
Yeah.
that has been through doing like
Yeah.
different things with Go High Level, which also you mentioned that was kind of from the Pest Control Millionaires program where your agency was using Go High Level, but you didn't know they were. So now you're
Yes.
kind of somewhat facilitating, telling them to do this and that. Tell me what, I mean, first off, like, what are you doing with Go High Level, and how did you upsell? I mean, you said you closed like 10 to 15K in a week or something. What was that?
Yeah, we've done a couple upsells like our aeration. We'll send out like 20 emails for aeration, and it's so easy. It's like push now, then the office gets a notification to go ahead and add it for Mrs. Smith or whatever. So, because like an aeration, like there are people that want it every single year or every other year or every third year. Everybody has like their schedule for aeration, and seeding. And so we just fire it off. All the prices are included in the email, and it's just a data pool that we pull and a formula that we write to put that number in there, and then they just push that button. But we had fungus coming into yards, and we maybe, I don't know if we learned an interesting lesson, but we put in there, we've noticed a lot of fungus or something to the tune of this. We've noticed a lot of fungus left untreated. This will kill your yard. And I think that trigger word of this will kill your yard fired people up, and we had to shut, which it will. That was not an exaggeration by any means. But we fired that campaign off, and literally in 2 or 3 hours, we had to shut it down because we had 200 responses, and we needed to get a sales rep out there to diagnose and sell it and do all that. Fungus is one of those things we have had a hard time getting clients to buy without some sort of senior within the company, whether it's a field manager, technician, agronomist, owner, et cetera, whatever, come out and verify that it is, because they do cost quite a bit. I mean, they're about 50% more than a regular fertilizer program. So yeah.
Hmm.
So we had
Okay, so you're getting too many leads from that. That
yeah,
was
we
just
got too many appointments, so we shut it down for a day or two, got caught up, and then opened it back up. But that first day, we probably sold $10,000 or $12,000 within an afternoon.
wow.
Yeah,
And
and then so that's reoccurring too.
yeah, yeah. That was that through email or text?
That was a tax that we did that in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what percent of your customer base converted? Because it seems like, I mean, it had to be a
I
lot.
guess I didn't even pull that number on what converted versus what was the lead out of that. I never even pulled that number. It's been basically, that was the kickoff of the most whirlwind fall I've ever had. That was in like late July. Then you roll into aeration. We had an armyworm problem in our market at the same time. So we did the exact same thing. We fired off a text message. Here's an armyworm. We need to self-diagnose this because by the time we roll a truck out, the yard could be gone. And then because armyworms, like literally, they just come through and take everything out like 24, 48 hours. So we fired that off, sold a bunch of that, had to convert a couple trucks over to spraying armyworms. Then you roll right into aeration and seeding. That was up like, I guess I don't know the exact percentage of it. I haven't run it as a percentage, but last year we did in the neighborhood of $115,000 in seeding and regular aerations. This year we did $145,000 in seeding and aeration. So a pretty significant jump in that. So we roll into that. And then here we are in the midst of Christmas lights. Like it has just been like bang, 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 busy, busy, busy. And it's just like everything is firing all right because we've adjusted messaging and who we send it to and how we send it and all that sort of stuff.
Mm. And the seating and aeration, just to be clear, that's all upsells too?
Yeah, we do it all upsells. When we send out our prepay option, people have the option to select that they want it at that time, but we get probably less than 5 or 10% of what we'll do we get from that. It's just so far out that people they don't want to commit to it. You know, when you're doing your prepay option in January and you're talking about a service that they may want or may need in, you know, August and September, it's really tough to get people to commit to it then. You know, then as a rule of thumb, people buy when they want or need something.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, 100%. And you also told me that the messaging has changed a little bit, and also,
Yeah.
like, your agency was doing go high level. Like, what have you changed with the upsells, if anything?
Yeah, so from the pest control millionaire class, like the biggest thing is like first of all, I realized like, hey, I got this powerful tool that my agency's been running. I had no idea.
Mhm.
Lean into it. It's not uh the dumpster fire I thought it was, that sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. Now that I knew how it worked and how to tell them how to use it, they basically build the stuff for us and they help us with some of the creative and stuff like that. Because you got to remember, an agency also has, you know, probably 100 other clients, right? And they're like, this tanked over here in Tennessee. Like, we got to come up with something better than that if I give a similar messaging or whatever. And so we'll work together to come up with the messaging and what we want it to say and all that sort of stuff. And then we can have more constructive conversations now with what I've learned on ad spend, where we should spend it, how to target, what simple messaging, pulling stuff down when it's not working, lighting stuff on fire when it is working, and just, you know, going for the moon with it. And it has really helped a lot, you know. And then there's just like the other piece of it is there's some terms that you didn't realize, you know, like the one that sticks out in my mind that was kind of like an aha moment for me is when your ads each attribution, I believe is the word, where basically they've reached everybody in the market or in the settings that you've put. So that basically means that's got to come down. Another one's got to go up, even if it's the same ad under different ad set or whatever, even if it was working because they just quit working because Facebook quits pushing them to those people. When you have a aggressive budget like we do, I mean, we hit attribution pretty regularly.
Mm. Okay, okay. So those are some key takeaways there.
Yeah.
Um, and then like moving forward, what is actually no, I had another question. I forgot, just remembered. With Christmas lights, when did you guys implement that? And I think you said you kind of regret it.
It's a love-hate relationship. It really is. I love it because we put money in the bank account before the end of the year. And sometimes we have guys like, I don't want to say they're arguing over it, but they're like, I want to go to lights. You stay on fertilizer. Like they're just kind of ready for something a little bit different by the time we get to November. And
Mm.
I moved one guy over to lights this morning that thought he was going to be on fertilizer, and he was ecstatic. And so you have that, but it's a bit like, if you're not prepared and your company's not well equipped, it's not a business for the week from
Mm.
a sales and marketing standpoint. Like we came in this morning, we had probably 20 or 25 leads. We had all those leads cleared out by 10:30, and they had an estimate unless there was something that we needed the customer from. So we have that. We have to be able to contact them, get the estimate, do that, and then we have to know where they're going on schedule when they accept. So there was like probably 4 or 5 of them that just, go ahead, sign me up. When can we get installed? And we're like, so then it comes into the operational piece of it, which the operation side has to be on point, on schedule. You've got 4 weeks to get this done. Um, And if they're even a day behind, then we've got people, back to my comment of people buy when they want something. Like if they're giving us, $400 to $800 for a Christmas light job, they don't want you to be like, well, we'll get it by December 1st before everybody lights it up. They like want a day or at least a 2-day window on this of when you're going to get out there. So it's a tough business because it happens so fast. And if you miss a week of marketing on it, or you miss the window on when ads should have been flying, it just goes so fast.
Mm, got it. Cool. And then something else I want to cover, you said was pretty influential in your growth is yard signs, which I feel like not enough people take advantage of these, and your company name is literally Yard Boss. I feel like you guys are the ones that should be using yard signs the most. How are you using yard signs and how do they work?
So we use yard signs like most pest and fur companies. They leave a sign when they're done, but we leave a big one. It's like the size of a sheet of paper, so everybody can see. It's got our little character, like the guy behind me, our mascot.
Yeah.
It's got him on it, Blade. And then we have done so many yard signs that we've gotten threatened with fines from the city because there's specific areas that you can put them and can't put them and shouldn't. And this spring, I got really bold with them where I was putting them in the center of roundabouts. All of our roundabouts kind of have this hill in the middle. And so I would put them off on top of that hill in the middle of the roundabouts. And they specifically sent us a picture of that one and told us we shouldn't do it with like a text of like the code. It shouldn't be in front of a stop sign and da. But we do. Man, we probably spend on like your corrugated signs, we probably spend $6,000 or $7,000 on those a year. We will fly them out like crazy in the spring when you see the spring rush on services. And then we will fly them out in a big way on aeration, and seeding, where when we're done seeding a yard, there'll be like what size is that? 12 by 18 that we put out in the yards that were completed. We do the same thing with Christmas lights when we hang a house. The interesting thing is the Christmas light ones tend to stay in the yards for a long time, like a lot of times until spring. When our guys get there for first visit, they'll pull the Christmas light sign out in many, many cases. And so it's interesting. And I have a theory on it. It's because people aren't tending to their yard as much in the fall. Like they might have leaves to clean up, but that's it. And so the signs tend to stay a lot longer in the yards for the Christmas lights. But yeah, just our Christmas light sign, I think we have 250 we're putting in client yards after we completed, and we've got 150 that will go in intersections, stop signs, neighborhood entrances, that sort of stuff. And it has always worked really, really good for us. Especially when we were getting going. They always say if you're under $1 million, nobody knows who you are, right? And I would argue you can get to 5 million and still nobody knows who you are. And so we literally use those as a tool with my mentality is I just want everybody in Lincoln to know that we exist and what we do. I don't care if you want the service or need the service. One day you will, or one day you're going to be having coffee or drinks with your friend and they're going to be talking about getting lawn care, pest control, Christmas lights, whatever. You're like, well, I don't know, but I know this Yard Boss. I see them around and they've got signs in their trucks and all those sort of things. So then they go to Google, Facebook, wherever, catch our ad. If we're doing it right, they were talking about lawn care. So the ads will automatically come up for them. Based on their interests, and then we get the opportunity to sell them services and tell them why we're the best in the market.
Yeah, no, you're totally right about that. Someone even on the Thursday group call that we had might have heard someone ask. It was something like, I'm looking to get out of the field. I've got a few techs, and but like, what do I spend my time doing? And Jonas was like, dude, like just no one knows who you are. Like you just have to do everything related to sales and marketing to make sure more people know about you because you're like invisible right now. Even if it feels like you have a lot of clients or it feels like all your friends and family know you, but still you need to have everybody in the area know you, right?
Yeah. We do home shows too, and we hand out these little rain gauges with our logo on them and these rulers for the rain gauges so you know how much you need to water your lawn, and the rulers to get to the appropriate height on the grass. And we just literally hand these out. We have no intentions. Like we just want everybody to know who we are. We might sell 6 or 8 or 10 accounts. But even up until those happen in February and March in our market. And even as recently as a couple of weeks ago, somebody onboarded because they're like, we met you at a home show. We saw your booth. I've got this rain gauge, whatever that is. And it's just like, we're there to let the world know that we exist and we do this and we're the best at it.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so home shows have worked for you guys too, yard signs, and then anything else like marketing related, anything else that's been super influential in growth?
Our truck wraps for sure.
Mm.
So we have these bright green and blue, F2 and 350s that, are becoming very noticeable and people are citing, like, we see your trucks everywhere. I'm like, you don't see them everywhere. We've only got 6 rolling a day.
Yeah.
We're not even in every part of town every day, but people just get that impression when it's like the same truck, it's an F2 or 350, which basically looks identical to the untrained eye. Same cab orientation, like all the way down the list of all the things. It's all the same. So they think that you're twice as big as you are. And then you we've been in business so long. We started with one truck. Number one has never been hasn't been in service for probably 12 years. So our truck numbers are up to, like, I don't know, 25. And people are like, oh, they must have 25 trucks. No, we just we never reused a number.
Yeah. No, okay. That's awesome. And I also, like you mentioned, I see your mascot in the back. When did you rebrand the truck wraps? And also when did you kind of implement and create a mascot?
The mascot was sort of last winter. We bought a company a few years ago and they had this mascot, but he was living in the 90s and he literally had, the old corded phone with the curly cord that you would hang up. He had that in there, a little bubble that said call now. Like, he was just super dated. So I just had somebody on Fiverr bring him into the modern century. And so we did that. And then the branding, when we changed the name in 2020, is when we did the branding and we rolled that out in a big way and spent the money to wrap all the trucks at the same time to look the same.
Cool. Awesome. So that's also
that was a big initiative. It was an expensive initiative to get done. And is wrapping all the trucks, reuniforming everybody, rebuilding websites, like all the things that came with that rebrand.
Yeah. When do you think people should rebrand, if at all?
I guess I don't have an opinion in the market. I have several friends that have rebranded, and I will say this: in the short term, it kind of hurts the business in the first 6 to 12 months because people don't know whether you're new. I still get people that I know, they're like, oh, you bought a franchise, that's why you changed your name. No, I hired a bunch of really smart people to help me figure this out because Steve's Lawn and Landscaping really didn't resonate well. We were dumping landscaping. Steve's Lawn Care didn't like it, and that was one of the drivers for it. And then we ended up with Yard Boss. But to say when, like, my honest opinion is, like, when you start the company, spend some money to get it right. Like, I mean, that doesn't mean you go to Kick Charge and have Dan Antonelli, do the whole tens of $1,000 thing. That is like, we picked a good name. Your personal name probably shouldn't be in it because it's not good for resale if you ever want to sell your company. But I think it just gives a small chuck and truck vibe, and like they're just gonna leave a $20 bill under the doormat and like that sort of vibe to a company. And then but like, if you could come up with the name and you could have all that stuff at least halfway there, and then maybe you need to adjust the colors and bring a fresh thing into it, I think it makes a big impact, because a lot of SEO comes off of long-term being around, right?
Yeah, brand.
Yeah. So when you basically kill all your SEO because you were Steve's Lawn and Landscaping and that was doing halfway decent, and you come Yard Boss, like, you got to build that back up, and that takes some time to build some stuff back up.
Okay, so it's pretty painful and you might not see any ROI in the first 6 to 12 months, but ideally you do it when you first start.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Have
Yeah.
got into it, you know. So the interesting thing is, Yard Boss was a nickname I had when I was a kid. Because
Mm.
apparently I was a bossy little 3-year-old, and that's what my uncle called me. And when I started the business, that was suggested. I'm like, well, I don't want my 3-year-old nickname to be the name of the company. And had I done that from the get go, would have saved ourselves a ton of time and money and stuff. But like looking back on it, it was like a really, really good move. But it cost us money to let everybody know who we are. We're the same people. We're, all those sort of things. And it wasn't like we changed from, like, you could have had Steve's Lawn and landscaping, right? And you dropped the landscaping to Steve's Lawn. Like, people still probably would have understood what was happening, but we're just like, you're brand new to the market is what people think. And no, we're still doing the same thing we've been doing, just minus a service or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Got it. And then one of the last questions I've got for you, Steve, is, I mean, what is the future for you guys? What is the plan, and what is the goal?
We're going to go to Omaha probably in the next 2 or 3 years. We think that Lincoln, based on the competition, the size, the demographics, the size of the city, that sort of stuff, we think we can get that to probably 3,500 or 4,000 clients. We're at about 2,400 clients right now. So, and at the pace that we're getting it, we think we're going to get there fairly quickly. Like, I've not been there, so I don't know. That's just the research I've done, listed ChatGPT's help to figure out, how many homes, income, that sort of stuff, and try to nail down some things and figure out what the total addressable market is, and then figure out how much the competition you think is going to have, because you'll never get 100% of the people in the market that want the service. So we'll go to Omaha, and then I think we'll have a pretty long runway in Omaha. Omaha is about 4 times the size of Lincoln, and we'll actually take on Omaha in pieces. We'll probably start out on the west side of Omaha, servicing some of the cities out west, and then move further into the metro.
Awesome. Cool. So expanding quickly, getting into Omaha, those places
Yeah, the goal is to
with
get
bigger
Omaha
population.
within 2 years. I set a goal. I'm 37, and I set a goal to be in Omaha by the time I'm 40.
Yeah. Awesome.
So,
Love it. And last question I've got for you is, what is your message for other pest control or lawn care owners? What do you think they need to know? What's on your heart? What do you want to tell people?
so this message would probably go for any business owner, to be completely honest with you. Is so many people think that they know what they're doing because they're like a great technician and they went off on their own and they got their first 100 clients really easily. But like, your first 100 clients are the easiest to get because it's your mom, your dad, your grandma, your friends, your neighbors, the guy you went to high school with that you haven't talked to in 5 years. Those sort of people like get it right away. When you have to start selling to a complete stranger and providing services to a complete stranger that doesn't give you, grandma, if you screw up and you accidentally like treat grandma's house wrong, or you like don't show up on time to grandma don't care. She's just happy to
Yep.
see you. But when you start working for strangers that you've never met before, it gets a little tougher. And so the sentiment behind that is like, you've got to ask for help. Like, and the good help is going to cost money. I have paid, you know, the first initial, I tell a lot of people, for the first 4 years that I was fixing this business, I paid the equivalent of probably a university degree over those 4 years between travel to events, consultants, advisors, mastermind groups, extra little seminars that were here or there. I was on a plane somewhere probably 6 or 7 times a year for about 4 years as I was trying to fix this and get it to what I actually dreamed of, and enlisting people that had been there, done that, and had that skill. If there's, there's people all over the internet for like $20. They've got all the answers, right? And the answers probably ain't very good for $20. So you got
Yeah.
to find really smart people, really intelligent people. And the point is it's probably going to cost you some money.
Mm.
And it seems very expensive at the time, but it'll pay for it in spades. Like the first mastermind group I was in, I believe that was $600 a month. And I remember thinking, and there was no commitment to it, right? You could cancel at any time. I'm like, well, if I cancel at any time, screw it. Like, if I can't afford this, and it's not worth it. And I remember thinking, I've got 2 months left on this truck. And once I get this truck paid for, that's approximately the same amount of money. I can just make this work. And by the time we got through that 2 months, I had already learned so much that $600 didn't matter anymore because we were moving so fast. And so my answer in short is like, find the help, enlist in the masterminds, the consultings, the coaching groups, the courses or whatever, and take them from people who have been there, done that, rather than like course at a local community college, right? So like we're doing obviously doing the Pest Control Millionaire course, right? The University of Nebraska offers a course very similar to that, but have they done it? I doubt.
Yeah.
I literally looked into it when we were doing that and did a Zoom call with them, and it's like, have they done it? Have they actually run these ads and saw that, or is this textbook? Like, your KPI should be this, you're that, and you need, it's not like, hey, this works, go straight to this. We know it'll work in the industry. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Love that. Yeah. So essentially, you don't know as much as you think you do, and you have to find the people that know the stuff and invest in your education.
Well, and more so than anything, you don't know what you don't know,
Mm.
which sounds really weird to say, but you don't know that. I don't know. I didn't know that Go High Level existed, and I didn't know that Service Autopilot existed, and we should have these CRMs, and what a game changer it would be to have these two pieces of software. And even dialed into that, I don't know that Service Autopilot or Go High Level can do X, Y, Z. So you're constantly networking, figuring out what you don't know.
100%, man. Well, awesome. I think that's a great place to end the show. For people that want to connect with you online, social media, wherever, how can people connect with you, Steve?
You can connect with me on Facebook, or you can send me an email, steve@yardbossloans.com. Not very good at responding to emails, but Facebook's a good spot to reach me at.
Cool, definitely. So go connect with Steve on Facebook. The links to that will be in the description. Anything else you'd like to plug or promote?
No.
Cool, man. Well, it's been great having you on the show. It's been great learning about your journey and some of the different ways that you've grown. Thought it was super fascinating with upsells and yard signs. Seems like you guys are really crushing it. And yeah,
We're
man,
trying.
it's been an honor to
We're
have
trying.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for coming on, man. This has been great.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course.